Hey there, everyone. Um, so I don't know how many people are going to be in on this live stream. I advertised it starting Sunday after I uploaded Sunday's video. So we'll see how many people pop in. Right now, hello, Dave. I was going to say there's nobody in here, but now there is. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to talk about. I do want to take some video requests if anybody has any video ideas, anything you may want me to make a video on, topics wise. Hello, Numismatic and Corey. And hopefully I will have a little bit of sunlight here. I'm not sure about anybody else, but the weather here in Ohio has sucked. One day it's really nice, kind of spring-like weather, and the next day it is snowing like it was doing yesterday. And then today it's not snowing, the snow's gone, but it's cold out. So it's one way or the other. I'm ready for spring. So anyway, as I'm sure you know, I did not upload a video yesterday on Wednesday, which is one of my upload days for my videos. Sorry. I just kind of needed to take a day off for a moment. Just kind of think about videos that I want to do, things like that. Okay, New Mysticmatic, is there any certain type of how-to or DIY topic you would want me to make a video on? But yes, I did not upload a video yesterday, and I apologize for that. However, there will be a video up Sunday. I am still working on another subscriber's suggested video. The subscriber 808 Blessed One, who had requested that I do a video going over disaster preparedness and how to be ready for situations such as that. So I am still working on that. I actually have a pretty lengthy Word document that I've kind of been adding to throughout the week in preparation for that video. I'm hoping that one will be up next Sunday because I still have a little bit of more work to do with it. As I mentioned in my video when I did my Scrub Daddy review, I want to make sure I have not only a lot of good information, but a lot of correct information. So that should be up next Sunday. Other than that, I do still plan on doing a full home tour. Hopefully that will happen. I don't know if you can hear that, but we live actually like 2 blocks away from a diesel mechanic oriented college. And all you can really hear up and down our street is these big souped up trucks with huge mufflers and diesel stacks and little put around cars that people have done things to. And anyway, but I do plan on doing a full home tour, so that will happen. Trying to think of other, see if I can find, I do have like 3 pages of video ideas that I wrote out a few weeks ago. Is that it? I may have found them. Well, let's see. I've already done that video about organizing books. I was thinking about doing a video on the messiest house, or the messiest room in my house, and what we plan to do with that, and how we're going to tackle that. So that might be something I might be doing here a little while. Possibly a video on food storage, the different options out there. Also, I still want to do kind of like a two-part thing about home maintenance, especially geared towards new homeowners. Because me and Tony, I mean, I would still consider us new homeowners. On the 8th of this month, we'll have lived in our house for 2 years. So I would still consider us obviously new homeowners. But making a video about that as far as things that, you should be on the lookout when buying your home, things that you should, be aware that need to be tended to either, every few months, like your air filter, or every like 6 months, like smoke detector batteries, things like that. So I'm making a list for that video as well. Let's see here. Don't worry, I will not be doing cooking DIYs. I don't cook. Tony does all the cooking. I've always told people that I would burn cereal if I tried to cook. Obviously, I can pour myself a bowl of cereal. I mean, that's being sarcastic, but definitely not going to be doing any cooking DIYs. I don't feel like putting out any fires on video. As far as furniture, fabric repair, I've personally never done any of that, so I really probably wouldn't feel comfortable giving tips out on that. If we even spill something on furniture, I just hurry up and try to get a wet rag to kind of like get it as quickly as possible. I honestly don't even own any stain remover here at our house. I mean, granted, we don't have pets, we don't have children, so I really haven't felt the need to buy stain remover, although that would probably be a good thing to have around the house just in case. I could possibly do one on the inexpensive home repairs. Now, that would be a good thing that I could maybe also include my dad in on. Probably not on video, but I can get his input because he did have his own home improvement business for over 30 years. He still somewhat does it on the side, but very, very rarely. He's going to be 67 this summer, so he's definitely slowed down on that. Okay, yes, Dave. I have heard of Bartender's Friend. I can't remember what you said it was called earlier in the comments, but I have heard of it. I've just never used it. So, yeah, please let me know how that works out. I've also thought about doing a video, another 5 great finds video for like 5 great websites that I've come across. And obviously not, and it wouldn't be websites that everybody's heard of, like Amazon and all this kind of stuff. I'm talking about websites that like have a unique niche to them, and are something maybe a lot of people haven't heard of, haven't come across. Someone's walking their dog out on the sidewalk. Really cute dog. It's a big dog. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't get on here to watch me watch dogs. I don't know what he's doing though. Like the dog is pulling him and he keeps turning around looking down the street. I don't know what's... Hang on. I don't know. The guy's acting like he's talking to somebody down the street, but there's nobody out there. Anyway, I was thinking about maybe doing a second part to my 5 things you forgot to clean video, because I have come up with some things for that. I I'm still trying to convince Tony to do like a meet my fiance, meet my boyfriend, whatever you want to call it type of video. Now, I will say, let's see here. I do same thing. I am a very big people watcher, especially in our neighborhood. I don't know. I don't want to say I'm like the Mrs. Kravitz of the neighborhood because I'm definitely not like that nosy or anything. I'm not like sneaking over around people's houses or anything like that. But occasionally I do look out the windows and see what's going on. If somebody is going over to someone's house, I may peek out the window. Or if somebody seems to be like parked in front of somebody's house for a moment or a little while, I kind of like keep an eye. Because you know what? Today, you just never know. So, I mean, not to go off on a little side thing, but yay, Tony's in here. Not to go off on a little side thing, but after we had lived in our house for just 2.5 months, we actually had a girl, I think it was a girl, I'm not sure, ring our doorbell at 3:30 in the morning. That night in particular, I had stayed up. I know I had to have had the next day off because I would not have been up that late. But she rang our doorbell at 3:30 in the morning, and luckily I lock up our house like Fort Knox day and night. And so I ran down the hallway, but kind of ran quietly so the person wouldn't hear me running through the house, to wake up Tony because he was sleeping, obviously, and tell him that somebody was at the door. And we went up to the front door. I looked out the peephole, and she wasn't there anymore. So then I came here into the office because this is the front of the house. And looked out on our front porch here around the corner, and she was, I'm assuming it was a girl. They had longer hair and it was pulled back in a ponytail. I could be wrong. It could have been a guy with longer hair, but they were kind of short too, so I don't know. But anyway, they were just stepping off the steps of our porch, and then I went back to the front door and they were completely gone. Like, not even down the street, across the street, anything. And there was no car waiting for them, so it's not like they could have gotten into a car and then drove off. Even if you ran down the street, there are no trees down our street between the sidewalk and the street itself. So it's not like they could have went down the street and hid behind a tree or anything like that. Like, even if they would have ran down the street, I would have seen them running down the street. So, I mean, we don't live in a bad neighborhood at all. Everybody keeps their houses up. We actually live on quite a main road in the city we live in. Like, I've probably seen maybe 30, 35 cars go down the road since I started this live stream 13 minutes ago. So yeah, I mean, it's not a bad neighborhood. We like it. I wanted to be in this neighborhood for several different reasons. One, like I said, it is a nice neighborhood. Everybody keeps their houses up. I mean, it's not like a ritzy neighborhood. All the houses are brick. All of them, except maybe a couple, are one story. Some have basements. But everybody keeps their house up. It is extremely close to pretty much everyday things that you would need. At the end of our block, literally at the end of our block, is a Chase Bank and also a small plaza with a haircutting place, Yellow Tuesdays, if anybody's heard of that place. I've heard of it. I've never been to one. But the little plaza has the Yellow Tuesdays. They have a Dollar General. They did have an Office Depot until about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and then it closed down when Office Depot and Office Max merged together as one company. There's a big wig store down there in that plaza called Wig City. There's a Papa John's in that little plaza, which is nice. And there's one other little thing in there I thought, and I can't think of what it is. Maybe there isn't. But so yeah, we have a pharmacy down and around the corner. We have a Dunkin' Donuts at the end of the street across. There's a McDonald's. There's another plaza. Like if you go down to the end of our block and cross the big main street, there's another plaza over there that has the Dollar Tree, that has a pet store, a Chinese restaurant, a Planet Fitness gym, a tanning place, and a few other things, like a cash advance place, something like that. But anyway, we live really close to a lot of things: gas stations, banks, pharmacies, grocery stores, restaurants, takeout. I mean, literally the mall is probably like 2 or 3 minutes from our house. So that's another reason I wanted to live in this neighborhood. Another reason is my grandparents lived in this neighborhood. They lived 2 blocks down that way and to the left. Now, granted, my ideal situation is I would have loved to have gotten their house when they passed away, but unfortunately, I was 15 when they passed away, so I couldn't obviously live on my own. And my parents really didn't want to, hang on to their house and like rent it out or anything until I turned 18. Simply because, not all renters, but renters can trash a house, and my parents just didn't want to have to deal with not only trying to fix up things people maybe ruined, but they just didn't want to be landlords, which I don't blame them. So unfortunately that didn't happen. So I figured if I couldn't get their house, the next best thing would be to at least live in the same neighborhood. But like I said, it is a nice neighborhood. We've done trick or treat the last 2 Halloweens that we've been here. And we've actually had a pretty decent turnout. I would say probably about like 100 kids each year, which is about 98 more than what my parents usually get. My parents haven't passed out Halloween candy in probably, I want to say maybe 10, 15 years at least, simply because there are really no children in their neighborhood. A lot of the people... when my parents moved into their house 2 years before I was born, my parents were the kids of the block. They were 25 and 31. So now my parents are like I want to say older people in the neighborhood, but they kind of are. So, yes, I could definitely do a thing about throwing a party, things like that. We definitely have experience with that here. So that is something I can definitely do a video on. In fact, I'll probably collaborate with Tony on that because he usually sets those party things up, and kind of get his input. Maybe I can get him in the actual video. Everybody cross your fingers and say that you want Tony to be in the video, and maybe he will be. I don't know. Hello, 808 Blessed. I actually was talking about you just a little bit earlier, just saying that I'm still working on your disaster preparedness video. I have a really big, like I was saying, Word document with a whole bunch of information for that video. I'm going to try my best to get it out next Sunday. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday. And I guarantee it's probably going to be maybe about at least 20 to 30 minutes long. Simply because there's a lot of information to include in there. There's a lot of information that I came across that I never would have thought of in 100 years. And I want to make sure that I have correct information. So, but I'm going to try my best to get that filmed maybe this coming weekend, early next week, get it edited and up next Sunday for you and for everybody else. Yes, DJ Tony. He does pick the playlists for our parties. So he usually goes on like Spotify. We have Chromecast for our living room TV. If you're not familiar with Chromecast, it's like a USB plug-in thing for your television if you have a TV that has an HDMI port on the side of it. And you can cast like YouTube to your TV from your phone, or Spotify, apps like that. So he's usually the one picking the music. So definitely, and he usually picks like what food we're gonna have, things like that. The only really input I have as far as when we have get-togethers is who I'd like to invite. Tony pretty much does everything else, so maybe I can get him included in on that. We'll see. But I've also been thinking about doing some maybe baking videos. I've done a couple before where I made no-bake chocolate eclair cake, which is a huge hit anytime I make it. I've made it a couple of times for work, and it's like instantly gone that same day. I've made it for get-togethers. I've made it for neighbors, friends, and everybody absolutely loves it. It is on my channel if you want to go back and look at that. Also, what else did I make? Oh, I made no-bake cheesecake, which is literally 3 ingredients. That no-bake eclair cake is 4 or 5 ingredients. So the 2 things I do have up on there are super, super simple. Takes maybe 15 minutes to make. It takes longer for those things to set than it does for you to make them. So you can definitely go check those out if you want to check those out. But I would love to do some more baking videos. In fact, when during my spring clean mini-series there on that last video where I showed you that I had the 2 baking cookbooks on the counter now on the cookbook stand, I did, in fact, the reason I put them out there, well, 2 reasons. One, just something different on the kitchen counter. And 2, so they're in front of my face, so maybe I'll actually make something from them instead of just always talking about wanting to make something from them. And if I do, then maybe record that for you guys. I've also been thinking about doing a video kind of like a 1 month after the demonetization here on YouTube, like kind of how that has affected. Hasn't really affected me personally. I mean, I was never making a living off of YouTube before they did that. I mean, I was making a decent amount. I was making maybe $25, $30 a month, which isn't bad. It's like a little side thing. But I know, not personally, but I know of some channels where, that was a devastating thing for them. Because they didn't have the amount of subscribers they needed, and they didn't have the amount of watch hours they needed. Now, a few days ago, I did a little calculation based off the information that YouTube gives you as a creator. And right now at the moment, I believe I have 365 watch hours, and YouTube requires you to have 4,000 to be even considered for monetization. Just because you meet their 1,000 subscriber and 4,000 hour watch time requirements doesn't instantly mean that you're going to be monetized again. It means they will now consider your channel for monetization once they review it. And during that review process, they make sure that you haven't gotten, you're not using any copyrighted material or anything like that. Let's see. Dave says that he has bought a disaster kit at Home Depot that contains everything for 1 week, including food and water. It was $30, 10 years of shelf life. Hello, Dawn. Welcome. I can definitely do a video for you as far as grocery shopping if you would like. Kind of like is there a specific store that you are wanting me to go to? I know I've done like a little tour of my local Aldi, but just kind of like pan through the sections so you can kind of get a feel of what it looked like, things like that. But I never actually like, I could do a full-on video if you would be interested. I could, do something to where like I make a list of the groceries we need. I take you to the store. I talk about the prices. I come home and show you what we got, how long, it's going to last us, how many meals it's going to make, what kind of meals it's going to make. So, if that is something that you are interested in me doing, I will definitely do that. In fact, I'm going to write it down right now or else I will forget about it. I'm a very visual person and I'm a list maker. So a lot of times if I don't have it in front of my face, I forget about it. So we will write that down right now. And I'm going to put your name next to it, Dawn, because that way I can give you the shout out in the video for the suggestion. Also, Dawn, do you have a YouTube channel? Because if you do, one, I would love for you to list it here in the chat so people could go maybe check it out. And two, when I do that video, I can maybe give it a shout out on there as well. So if you want to put it here in the chat or something like that, let me know. Okay, so your YouTube channel is Dawn's Crafty Room. Okay. All right. Well, I will definitely check that out and give you a shout out when I make that video. Hopefully I can have something like that out, by the end of the month. All right, let me catch up with some comments here. Definitely bottles of water are always a good thing during disaster. Hello, Christy. Welcome to our little chat here. Unfortunately, that Roseanne live feed, it did get hit with a copyright thing. I know I had a lot of people during that feed tell me that, I need to break up the Roseanne audio by either talking or coughing or playing some music or something like that. But honestly, during that feed, I wasn't even planning on showing the actual show. My plan was to let people see my reaction in live real time to the reboot. But everybody kept commenting, well, he's not showing the show. He's not showing the show. And I'm thinking, during this, well, no, I'm not showing the show. I'm showing you my reaction to it. That's why it's called Roseanne Reboot Live Reaction. So I don't know. But anyway, I ended up showing it. And for the most part, YouTube let me live stream it. And like the last 10 minutes, they shut down the feed. And then for whatever reason, they brought it up maybe like a minute or two later. So also, I see that you're from Texas. So if you could greatly please stuff some of your hopefully decent weather into a bottle and send it up here to Ohio, I would greatly appreciate that because our weather sucks. Everyone talked you into turning your phone toward the T. You appreciate that. You know what's up. Yes, Christy. I did actually get like an additional 30 subscribers from that Roseanne feed. So that definitely helped me. Now I'm at 613, which is awesome. I'd love to hit that at least $1,000 or $1,000. I wish I had $1,000. 1,000 subscriber requirement. So if anybody in this chat thinks that my channel would be interesting to anybody in your family or any friends, things like that, I would greatly appreciate you sending in the link. Somebody said something about in a comment, I can't remember who said it in my last video, that there is a channel that specifically gives shout outs to people. I went to it and I filled out the form. So we'll see if he gives my channel a shout out. I want to say he had like 15,000 subscribers, something like that. I'm not sure. So back to the whole disaster relief thing. We do have a weather radio at work that we sell. Definitely need like first aid kit type things for that in case somebody were to get hurt. Going along kind of with that, you know, you want to make sure that people have their medications, make sure that they have a decent amount of them. You know, I would say at least 2 weeks worth. You know, in case your local pharmacy, something happens to where they're not open, they have to be closed for a little bit. And I'm going to talk about that in that video too. I'm going to definitely be addressing things regarding pets during disasters. Like I said, this disaster preparedness video is going to be quite detailed. It would not surprise me in the end if it's at least 20 to 25 minutes long. So when that comes out, set some time aside, grab a snack, grab a drink, get whatever you need, use the bathroom. Because it's going to be a little bit of a lengthy video. There is a lot of different things to cover. And Dave, if you are passing out Valium, I will take some. Well, hopefully 808, that video, when it comes out, hopefully you will enjoy it. Hopefully I will cover, you know, everything that you are looking for me to cover. If there's anything in particular you want me to cover in that video, if you want to put it in the chat here now, just so I can make a note of it here on my little list, I can. That way I can include it in like the final filming of it before I put it up. But yeah, there's so many different aspects. To prepare for a disaster, you know, and it also depends on the type of disaster too. You know, there's natural disasters like tornadoes and hurricanes and earthquakes and tsunamis, you know, severe thunderstorms. There's specific things to your home, such as a fire, things like that. I'm going to cover all of that. I promise you I will. Like I said, I have a pretty lengthy Word document that I've been adding to throughout the last few days, almost a week now, with different information, different resources, different websites, different kinds of plans, different information you need to have, things like that. So hopefully that will be something that will be something A, you enjoy, and B, that you find informative. And hopefully a lot of people find informative. Dave asks, what are those round things on your mirror? If you were talking about these here, like my little pen pointer thing right here, these little round things, they're like gold emblems. And each one has a different picture on it. They're kind of like embossed out on the front of it. I don't know. See, I'm doing this live stream from my desktop, so I can't really bring the desktop closer to the mirror, and I can't bring the mirror closer to the desktop. I will. I don't know how to describe it. But we got that mirror. That mirror is actually bigger than what it probably looks on camera. It's probably a good 4.5 feet long. And it's heavy as hell. We got it for $5 from a local thrift store. So I'm very proud. I hung it all by myself. Whether or not the screws that are holding it up are actually in studs in the wall or just drywall, I don't know, but it's been up for probably close to a year, and it hasn't fallen down yet. So fingers crossed it stays there. Let's see here. Dawn says in Alabama, her state has a Get 10 list, 10 things to have for emergency preparedness. Well, that's a good idea. Is there anything unique on there, Dawn, that they have that like most people maybe wouldn't think about, aside from, the normal stuff like first aid kits and, sustainable food, things like that? Let's see. Dawn also asked if I can do a laundry chat video, chatting while you do the laundry. Dawn, you're funny. I don't do the laundry. Tony does that. But I could maybe do some type of chat video while I'm folding laundry or hanging it up, things like that. So I will definitely write that down as a suggestion. Laundry chat video. And maybe I can incorporate that into also, some type of video on laundry organization, things like that. Let's see here. Christy says, supposedly there was a big earthquake in California today, 5.0. I have not heard that, Christy, but I usually only watch the morning news. We usually watch Morning Express with Robin Meade in the morning. And then other than that, that's about it as far as news, unless something pops up on the computer. We don't really ever watch the local evening news, anything like that. I don't have a subscription to the newspaper. So, yeah. Let's see. DIY laundry soap. That I could maybe look into. I will write that down as well, just so I have reference of it. And I need to write down your name too, so I can reference you in that video as well. Yes, Dave, Tony is a very good catch. Actually, when we bought our house, or when we knew we were getting our house, we kind of made a deal with each other. And that is, if he does the cooking and the laundry, I would do the cleaning and the dishes. Because I hate doing laundry. I cannot cook worth a darn. But I love to clean, obviously, because of my channel. And I don't mind doing dishes as long as they don't pile up and take an hour to do. Because unfortunately, we do not have a dishwasher. So, although that's something we've kind of very vaguely talked about getting with next year's tax return, but we'll see. Dawn says that making your own laundry soap is very cost effective. I'll have to look into that. Right now we buy Gain, which I usually get for a decent price because I work at a place where we sell laundry detergent. So I usually tend to try and buy it either on sale plus my employee discount, or Dollar Tree sells the bottles that are actually a decent amount. They last for a good amount of time for $1. Christy says that she shut off her TV service over a year ago, and that's why she tuned into the Roseanne live feed and gets her news from the internet. Gain does smell very good. We use the Gain laundry detergent, and then we use the Snuggle fabric dryer sheets. Oh, it smells so good. And something that Tony did when we had only been together for a little while, when I was renting a house quite a number of years ago, he actually took the dryer sheets and taped them to the ceiling fan, so the whole house would smell like that dryer sheet, and it smelled so good, especially during the spring when you had like the windows cracked open and airflow was coming in. It smelled great. And Christy, speaking about shutting off your TV service, I I don't know if anybody on here has Amazon Fire Stick or Roku or Hulu or Sling TV, things like that. Yes, air vents. Yep, I've toyed with the idea about doing that too. I don't know if anybody has any of those on here. We currently have Spectrum, which was formerly Time Warner Cable, and I hate them. And from the customer service reviews that I've seen online over the past years, past few years, a lot of people hate them. Especially now that last month Spectrum, sorry, it was Time Warner for decades, so I still call it Time Warner. Especially since they just went to all digital. We have 3 TVs in our house. We have one in the living room that has the box from Spectrum that is already digital. We have a TV in the bedroom, and then we have a TV down in the basement. The one in the bedroom and the basement do not have a box to them. We were just getting regular cable, like channels 2 through 68, 72, something like that. Well, since they went all digital, we don't have any TV now in the bedroom, in the basement, because now Spectrum requires you to have a box for every TV in your house that you want to have cable on. And it costs $20 per box, and then it costs $10 per month per box to rent those boxes. So thank you, Dawn, for coming in. I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to look into doing those videos for you, and so just be on the lookout for that. But thank you very much for joining our chat. So in the basement and bedroom, we don't have cable. And so I would love to find a way to cut down on our cable bill. Right now, for our cable, our landline phone, yes, I have a landline phone, and our high-speed internet is roughly between $135 and $140 a month. It usually is in between there. To me, that is pretty high. And actually, my parents have had Spectrum for years. And unfortunately, my dad has to call Spectrum roughly about once every 4 to 6 months and threaten to leave them and go to somebody else like CenturyLink, which I believe was formerly like Sprint, or some other cable company, which there really isn't that many options around here to begin with. Just so they lower his bill, because slowly they, increase the bill for no particular reason. Also, since Spectrum has went digital, we've lost a couple of channels. We no longer have, what channel was that? We just looked up earlier this evening, and I can't think of what it is now. Oh my gosh, we don't have USA Network anymore, which stinks for Tony because he loves watching Law and Order SVU, which that's the channel that plays on. So he can still watch it on demand. And there's another channel we just recently discovered had been showing it here and there. So it's not like he can't totally see it. But it's just kind of a pain in the butt. My cable bill doesn't go down any, but I'm losing channels. So I'm paying the same amount for less channels. But there was another channel, I can't remember what it was, just earlier tonight that we said we discovered was gone. So, oh wow, Christy says that she has never seen a basement. There's basements all over here. I mean, but granted, this is Ohio, so, that's kind of common, because you've got the chances of tornadoes. Now, thankfully, I'm 33. I've never personally experienced like a real tornado, like hitting our house or hitting our neighborhood or whatever. There have been tornadoes that have hit parts of my city, but never really close to me and surrounding cities. My parents' house has a basement. Our house has a basement here. That is something that Tony would not budge on as far as houses. He had to have a basement. Which is nice because, if you have a tornado or a bad storm, something like that, you can go down there, you're underground, you feel a bit more protected. So, let's see. Dave says that he kicked cable to the curb 2 years ago and is all internet. I would love to. I would love to get rid of cable because, it's just, one, it's so overpriced, and I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel like cable is priced the way it is because Spectrum is pretty much the only cable company around, at least around here. Now, I don't know if different offices of Spectrum are franchised or it's all corporate ran, all their locations. I don't know how that works. But, around here, your choices are either Spectrum or CenturyLink. And I don't even know for 100% if CenturyLink does cable TV. They might just be phone and internet. I'm not sure. But I would love to get rid of cable. We really hardly ever watch TV. We usually are watching YouTube or watching a show that we have on DVD because we have a ton of TV shows on DVD. So, yeah. We used to have Netflix. We kind of cheated on that. We had a friend's password. So we were able to watch Netflix through that. Unfortunately, we are not friends with those people anymore, so we don't have access to Netflix anymore. There are all kinds of services, as you said, Christy, out there to watch different things. So, let's see. Christy says that they have tornado shelters outside in the ground, but no basements in our house. There's lots of tornadoes here, though. Are you talking about like the tornado shelters outside in the ground, kind of like how they had the one in Wizard of Oz where Dorothy went outside during the tornado and had the little like door that went down into the ground? Is that kind of what you're talking about? Or let's see. Numismatic says that might be a video idea where you could do like financial help series where we could learn where to find special deals, how techniques to negotiate your bill and get companies. Possibly. Yep, I can look into that. I'll write that down here. Let's see here. Christy says that she lives in a cabin on 3 acres of tree, and if a tornado comes, I would have to go outside and get into the ground shelter. It's tornado season. Yeah, it's getting to be there, especially when it rains, but yet there's still humidity. That's great conditions for a tornado. 808 says, I like the ideal numismatic. Let's see. Like on the Wizard of Oz, yes, that's exactly what I was about to say. I could definitely try to do video on how to get rid of debt fast. I mean, I have debt. I'm not getting rid of it fast. I would like to get rid of it faster. There is one bill in particular that I'm currently paying on, and the 12th of this month will be my last payment. Is actually, I'm just going to be honest with you because I'm all about honesty and transparency. The bill that is going to have its last payment this month is actually through a lawyer because I actually had a credit card threaten to take me to local municipal court to get the debt paid off. Luckily, I was able to call, kind of smooth things over, and the case got dropped as long as I got with the lawyer and made payments. If I missed one payment or paid $1 less than what I had agreed to do monthly, then they would take me to court. But I haven't missed a payment. In fact, I've made every single one earlier than the due date. And so the last payment of that is on the 12th of this month, and that would be so nice to get rid of because that'll be $120 extra a month. So I could definitely use that to pay down 2 credit cards, which I actually paid on this past time that I got paid. But we've also kind of been using them a little bit to pay a couple bills and things like that. Not the whole credit card, but a decent amount of it. 808 Bless says that they want to get rid of debt so they can buy a home. Yes. Oh gosh, yes, Christy, that would be a huge relief to get that $120 a month out each month. That's like 2 weeks worth of groceries, or that's like 2 or 3 utility bills together, things like that. I can definitely talk about dealing with creditors, lessons I've learned, things like that. Actually, in 2009, I filed for bankruptcy because, excuse me, I had over $10,000 in credit card debt. So I could definitely talk about that. And let me just go out on a limb here. I'll give you some advice, 808. I don't know what kind of debt you're dealing with, the amount. I mean, you don't need to share that if you don't want to, but let me just be kind of a wash of, how do I want to say this? Kind of like a wash of comfort. I filed for bankruptcy in 2009 on over $10,000 worth of credit card debt. And I was able to get approved 2 years ago, so in 2016, so only 7 years later, for an $80,000 home loan. Now, granted, I did go through a credit union instead of a traditional bank. The only reason I went through a credit union is because my credit score was not high enough to qualify at a traditional bank. I would definitely do your research as far as the kind of debt you have, your credit score. If you don't know your credit score, you definitely need to sign up for Credit Karma. I've talked about it in a couple past videos. It is a huge resource. Very, very important for you to know what is on your credit report, especially because I've actually had a couple of my credit cards charged things that I never bought. There was one time I had a charge for about $44, $45 on or at a Home Depot down in Florida. And if I didn't have Credit Karma to see that, I wouldn't have known about that till I got the bill. And granted, I don't think it would have been too late, but it's a lot easier to check. It's a lot easier to kind of combat that credit card theft if you can check that and get it in real time, as opposed to like seeing it on your bill or something like that. Or also you could sign up and get text alerts on cards, things like that too. I know some places, I don't know if it's banks or credit cards, but after you make a purchase, they actually have you hit like, yes, I approve this purchase, or no, I don't. That way it can be combated right then and there in real time. Let's see. Numismatics says that most people don't know that health and hospitals are more than willing to negotiate the bill. Sometimes you will have to pay a little of the bill up front, but they will negotiate the rest. And Christy says that she's a single mom of an adopted daughter and 4 pets. Oh my gosh, 4 pets. Well, my parents have 5, so I guess that's not horrible. She says, if I can buy a home, you can do it too. I bought a foreclosed fixer-upper. I'm doing things slowly as I go. Some bill companies have temporary grievance relief, but you definitely have to ask for it because that is not something they're going to tell you about. No, it is not. And honestly, if someone were to ask me, would I recommend filing bankruptcy over doing credit card debt consolidation? I would recommend the bankruptcy over the consolidation, because what I had found out is I actually first did try credit card consolidation because I didn't want to file bankruptcy, but it's because I didn't know all of the information regarding bankruptcy until I went to a bankruptcy lawyer. But I did do the credit card consolidation, and what I had found out actually, and I don't know if this is the particular company that I used, and I honestly cannot remember their name, or I would tell you. That way you could avoid them if you were considering credit card debt consolidation. But what I found out was that while I was making their payments and that I thought they were distributing the money I was giving them to the credit cards I owed money to, that was not the case. They actually were holding that money in an account for 6 months. And then once the 6 months got there, then they distributed money because they said that they had to build up a certain amount to give the credit card companies money to make somewhat of a dent or an impact on it. So while I was paying this debt consolidation company that I thought was paying my credit card bills for me, now granted, the credit card companies did stop calling me because I now had this debt consolidation place representing me initially, so they were going to them for the money and not me. While I was paying them, and I thought they were paying my credit cards, they weren't. So while I was paying them, my interest rates were still taking effect. I was still getting late fees, things like that, and that's what kind of like alerted me to calling the debt consolidation company and finding out exactly what they were doing. And I found out that they weren't paying the bills. They don't pay them until, at least the one I went through, didn't pay them until you had made 6 monthly payments to them, and then they started dispersing it. So ultimately, I told them that I didn't want them to represent me anymore. I asked for a refund. I did get about 95% of my money back. They kept about 5% of it for processing fees. Don't you love that when people do that? There's a processing fee. Please. But anyway, so if someone were to ask me bankruptcy over credit card consolidation, personally, I would pick the bankruptcy. It wipes the slate clean for you. It takes so much of a burden and a relief off your shoulders, and you can recover from it. You can buy a house after you file for bankruptcy. You can still get credit cards after you file for bankruptcy. It may not be for a little while. So no, you can't file bankruptcy and then expect to get a house 2 years later, because that just isn't going to happen. But I got one for 7 years later. So, let's see. 808 says that she has 3 credit cards and loans. She does have karma, and her score is 759. That's really good, 808. Are you wanting to specifically pay down the debt so you don't have the debt when you buy a house, or are you paying down the debt to get a better credit score to buy the house? Yes, I'm jealous of their credit score too, because mine is only 540 something. So mine is over 200 points less than yours. So congratulations to you for having that high of a credit score. Let's see. Dave says that he used debit for $400 yesterday, and the bank called to make sure it was you. Now I know some banks will only let you spend so much a day, and then they cut it off. My bank, fortunately, does not do that because there are some bills that are over $300 or over whatever threshold it may be. So let's see. Christy says she went to a friend on Maui and could only afford one trip there. Tickets were expensive to Hawaii, and everything on the island was so pricey. I would love to go to Hawaii. Tony does not want to get on an airplane. Granted, he's never been on one. I love flying. Now, granted, it's been probably 15 years, 16 years since I've been on a plane, but I absolutely love it. It's so much easier than driving. You get there faster. It's usually about the same amount you would spend on gas and snacks and possibly a hotel if you had to get one if you're driving a good distance. You know, I would love to go to Hawaii. You know, I'm sure that you could get there from California on a boat, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that would definitely be something that, you know, I would highly, highly be interested in doing. I would love to do that. So yeah. But all right. Well, I really only scheduled this live stream to be an hour till 7 o'clock, and it is 7:02. I know it's only a couple minutes after, but unfortunately we have not eaten dinner yet. Dave says go to the Bahamas. It's closer. That would be fun too, especially seeing all those commercials with the very clear, crisp, clean water. Now, granted, who knows? That could be just for the commercials. And there's a bunch of camera effects you can do, things like that. But I've never been there, so it could be like that. I'm not sure. But I'm going to end this live stream for now. Like I said, we haven't eaten dinner yet, so we're going to go get something to eat. In other words, Tony's going to cook something. But thank you very much for everybody who has tuned into this live stream. I greatly appreciate it. Again, I apologize for not having a video up on Wednesday. There definitely will be one on Sunday. So you can look forward to that. And I have written down everybody's video suggestions on my piece of paper here, so I will get to working on some of those as well. But as I said, 808, please look forward to that. Look forward to that disaster preparedness thing or video, not this Sunday, but more than likely next Sunday. I should definitely have it done by then.